Welcome to another episode of Audio Judo, a very special episode. We will be welcoming indie recording artists from Albuquerque, St. Petersburg, to promote their new record, Cardinal Sun.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album. If you have the opportunity, listen. That's your homework for this episode. If you haven't already done it, go listen to it. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. We'll have links in our show notes.
Right. If you want to go to their website and download it, their website is stpetersburgabq.com, and you can start there or Spotify or any of your other music selection places.
So we were lucky enough to get to do an interview with two members of the band, Sloan Armitage, who does vocals and guitar, and Julian Martinez, who does guitar, pedal steel guitar, keyboards, backing vocals, and I think a few other instruments as well that I didn't write down.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. I guess first up, here's the other cool thing we get to do in this episode. Since Matthew knows the band, you actually get to hear some of their tracks.
That's right.
We got permission to play their tracks in our episode.
So you'll hear a bit of that. Something that Kyle and I had talked about was bringing new music to people that might not have an opportunity to listen to it for whatever reason. So one of the things that I found is with the rise of digital music is how much music there is now. But the flip side of that is how much bad music there is now, and how difficult it is to find something that you like, because you have to weed through a lot of garbage. So one of our goals was to find new and interesting music and bring it to you guys so you have a chance to listen to it that you might not otherwise hear. And this is one of those bands that I feel needs to be heard by a larger group of people than maybe they're getting the opportunity to.
They absolutely do. This album is fantastic. You know, when you first were like, oh, I've got these friends from Albuquerque who are putting together this band, I was like, oh, shit. Because every time in my past when somebody's been like, you know, hey, I've got these friends with a band, you should listen to them. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it's just this, you know, sophomoric, you know, just, I don't want to say garbage, but a lot of it is garbage. But these guys are fantastic. They sound great. You know, we talk a little bit in the interview about how they very much have a sound that's influenced by 80s and early 90s music, but it feels modern. It feels like something you're listening to today on the radio or wherever. It's great.
So without further ado, we will give you the interview. This is Sloan Armitage and Julian Martinez from St. Petersburg promoting their new album, Cardinal Sun. We are joined today by Sloan Armitage and Julian Martinez from the Albuquerque-based independent recording artist St. Petersburg. And then first of all, just want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, man, thanks.
We're happy to have you here. So first off, give us a little background on the origin of the band name, St. Petersburg. Where'd that come from? Is that
that came from a friend that was visiting Russia, St. Petersburg, Russia, and we couldn't find a name to name a group, so we just thought, I have the hardest trouble trying to come up with a good band name, and I still do. We came up with that one just to have something to kind of get through, to find something better, but nothing ever came better. So I just kept it. But I mean, I know it stirs people up. But
yeah, I mean, I'm always clear when people ask me, because, you know, people I run into, they ask, well, what's the name mean? You know, and the only thing I've ever heard from Sloan definitively is that, it's St. Petersburg, Russia. So, and not Florida.
That's fair.
And so it's funny to me too that now that I'm in the band and we have music online, and you go search for St. Petersburg, the St. Petersburg Orchestra is actually before us.
Yes, it comes up quite frequently.
Yes, it does.
And
So-
so Sloan, you're the vocalist and guitarist, or
Yeah, the vocalist and guitar player.
excellent. And Julian, you kind of like a multi-instrumentalist, correct?
Yeah, multi-instrumentalist. I mean, I play, rhythm and lead. Well, Sloan and I both kind of share rhythm and lead throughout the record. Sloan's the songwriter of the band. He's the front man. And, I helped him produce the songs and kind of recreate the songs. And, we worked together to, just make the songs as good as they can be. Sloan basically, he's pretty prolific as a singer-songwriter out here in New Mexico, and plays quite a bit out by himself. So just, either acoustic or electric and singing. And so the songs are, kind of folk songs. And to turn them into a rock band, you have to think about how to piece it together and create the orchestra. And that's kind of where I've come in,
Sure. How long have you guys been together, like as a unit?
About since 2016.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. About May of 2016 is when I joined the project. The project was actually this version of St. Petersburg, which is, I don't know, Sloan, how many other versions of this band have you had? Two? One? Two?
Probably exchange of drummers at least. Yeah, at least
Yeah.
two more drummers.
So yeah, like Sloan, St. Petersburg, for all intents and purposes, is Sloan. They're his songs, and he's had other members in his band that have played with him, and then it kind of didn't exist for a little while. And one of my old bandmates and one of my best friends, Ryan Martino, who actually plays bass on the record and helped us record the record and produce it, and helped us mix it, and did tons of engineering and stuff, assisted me with engineering and recording and stuff. Saw Sloan out and was like, we got to do something, you got to do something with your music. And so they kind of hooked up, and Ryan knew a drummer that could get involved, and his name is Joe Wilson. And then shortly after they rehearsed, for a few times, maybe a couple of months, Ryan gave me a call, and I guess I don't know what exactly happened, but he probably talked to you guys. I have someone.
Oh yeah, we're looking for a keyboard player.
Yeah.
And Ryan said, yeah, I know a guy, man, Jules.
That's great.
We practiced, and right then I knew I had to have Jules. It was like, you can hear it in the album. So with all the steel pedal and
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. When we searching out new music, one of the drawbacks that I've heard recently over the last recently, I want to say 10 years, is you find a band that you like or a sound that you like, and you listen to their whole record, and you find that every song sounds like the one song that you like that kind of drew you in. It has this really same quality to it, and that's what I love about this record, is that every song has a very unique and different sound from the one before it. And especially love the vocal harmony work is awesome. And I know I heard some pedal steel, lap steel guitar probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, pedal steel, yes.
And then is that a xylophone or a vibraphone in Walk?
It's actually a glockenspiel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that there's it's a discovery, because you're never quite sure what the next song's going to hold. And that's why multiple listens, there's layering, and I just love listening to it. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, hopefully it sounds like us, whatever it is. And that's always been my kind of aim in music, because the Beatles were such a huge influence, on my childhood and growing up, and continue to be, a musical discovery for me. I don't understand how they can still do that in my life, or provide that in my life. But, you take the Beatles, and they play everything in terms of genre, right?
Right.
But it's still the Beatles, right? And so hopefully, when we're kind of just navigating through different genres that are exploring different genres that we're still us, you know. I don't know, as a listener, I guess that's a question for you.
That's kind of like, I grew up as a huge British progressive rock fan because I'm late 40s, so a lot of Genesis, Yes, all that kind of older stuff, but my guilty pleasure was new wave and 80s alternative stuff. So I like to kind of seek that out, kind of maybe unconsciously. I think I'm seeking it out, and the record sounds. It has that vibe to it, but with a 21st century kind of sensibility. Like the production's a lot better. It sounds a lot better in general. I think it just has a sound, and Sloan, your voice, like I can't quite place it. There's a little Peter Murphy in there and some other stuff in there that I love to listen to. So yeah, it definitely, you know, it caught my ear right away, and I'm like, oh, like right from the Sweet Sand Verbena, like the very beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this record, like right away.
That's exactly how I felt too, and especially just like the first time I listened to it, it sounds very familiar, but it's all new, and it's all like there's kind of I don't even know quite how to describe this. It's a feeling of something that, you know, it's, I guess, familiar. Like I just said, it's very familiar, but it's new, and it sounds like something that would be, you know, you'd hear on the radio today. I mean, it's fantastic. I love the whole thing. More
of a refresh version or interpretation, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's sort of like a modern interpretation of like an 80s or early 90s kind of a sound.
No, I can hear that too. I mean, like City Life is it just sounds very British, kind of a rock English, kind of a blues song.
Yeah.
The whole album, we're trying to create a vibe to it, and a theme, like every song would flow into each song.
That's actually a question I had written down that I was going to ask you guys is what I found fantastic about the album, and Matthew and I talk about this a lot, is how nobody puts albums together anymore. They just do, because of iTunes and because of, the internet, everybody puts together like 3 or 4 songs and then just whatever else they have to kind of round it out so people feel like they're buying something when they buy the album. And, listening to Cardinal Sun, it's like an old classic rock album. It's got 8 tracks, which is like the most common number on old rock albums. It's like right around 40 minutes, which was the most common time because of the recording ability of, vinyl. It's got that introduction track, which is fantastic, and you never see that anymore. It's got, and it even kind of sounds like it would be perfect on vinyl because it's the first 4 tracks kind of build up, and then there's a little bit of an ending, and then it picks up again on the B side. Like when you guys were putting it together, like Matthew said, was that intentional? I assume obviously it was, but
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it was intentionally.
It's very
the arrangement
intentional.
of it. Yeah.
The arrangement, the length, the song order, the track order, all of it is designed to be on a vinyl record, which, it's planned to be on vinyl, hopefully in 2 to 3 months. It takes a while for this stuff to get manufactured. We just haven't settled on, the company to do it. So, it's very expensive to press vinyl too, especially as an unknown band.
Yeah.
We don't know if we're going to sell 300 records, 100 records, 1,000 records, and it's quite an investment to just get 100 records pressed.
Yeah, you don't want to print 1,000 records and have 500 records just sitting there.
Sitting in grandma's closet.
I have boxes of all my old band's records. Yeah. Well, good Christmas presents, for years to come.
Oh, definitely. So then, is Cardinal Sun, like, I know you guys had that Agua Fria sessions, that EP that was released before this?
Yeah.
So is this a set of songs that you've been working on for a long period of time, or is it like with bands that are putting their first LP out? It's usually songs they've been sitting around for a while and been working on.
Yeah, we'll have Sloan kind of answer first because he's been working on these songs for a while, and then I'll kind of finish up after he kind of tells us when, because I actually don't even know how old these songs are for him. I just know how old they are for me.
Let's see. Well, City Life's an older song. City Life and Sweet Sand. Those songs were a little bit older. The newer ones are like Walk Out and Cardinal Sun. Stormy Hearts is pretty new.
Yeah, so the older songs that Sloan's talking about, City Life, and those were songs before we were this iteration of the band existed. They were his songs before this current lineup existed.
Sure.
And then I wrote a bunch of songs after my father passed away, which would be I just wrote a bunch of songs trying to vent myself, and Cardinal Sun was one of them, which which was cool, and actually it was also kind of torturous too. But the song, when you're feeling really in a dark place, something of light can come out of something and be something, a piece of art. That was not intentionally. It just kind of came out, which was, I always treasure that song a lot. And that's what is the title to the album, is Cardinal Sun.
Yeah, very important song. That was a tune that just came together so quick as a group. Immediately I heard the pedal steel, that was just a gorgeous song on its own, just guitar and voice, right? But hearing it and, writing that together as a band and writing Walk Out together as a band, and that really started to solidify not only the band but the record, and that we could actually write good songs together. Mm-hmm. Because they asked me to join the band. I was the last person to join the band, at least the players that are on the record, and they come to me with these songs that they have, right? And they're Sloan songs, and so I learn them, and I give suggestions about how it should be, or maybe change the key, or the time, or whatever, and I add my parts, right? But to actually write songs together as a band, which is where that's where the Agua Fria session spawned. So we had already written all the songs for the record together, either the new songs, the old songs reworked for the record, recorded them, mixed them, and then kind of just shelved it because we weren't totally happy with it. But we wanted to put something out, and we knew we were going to put out a record eventually. And so we wanted to put something out into the world. And what was the easiest was to kind of, set up in my studio where we are now talking with you, and set up some cameras and record the audio and, play some new fresh songs that we had just written. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of old ones peppered in there. And that literally we decided that last winter, we set a date, we'll do it, on this Sunday, and literally, a couple weeks later, it was out in the world. We showed up at my house, played live, hungover as hell.
Did you record live?
Yeah, totally recorded live, mixed. That following week, Joe Wilson, he works in film as well, and he edited the video, I edited the audio, and it was out and up. Videos on YouTube, and the music was out, on Spotify and Apple Music,
cool.
That quick. That's how quick that happened, and the record is almost, it took us 2.5 years from when we started recording it to when it came out.
Yeah, recording it didn't take long. It just took long to get it done, or we kept mixing it. I mean, we wanted try to get something that was close to perfection. Or, I mean, if we're going to do something, might as well do it right. Or
yeah, exactly.
The production sparkles. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Like audio in headphones and everywhere, car stereo, it doesn't matter. It sounds really, really good.
Oh, man, thanks.
And then we're still writing new songs, too. I mean, we got on the Agua Fria sessions, we have Make You Mine, which is a pretty nice little catchy song, and Surfer Girl.
Yeah, those will be on our next release, official release, which should happen fairly soon. I mean, we have 6-7 new songs, and
oh wow,
I mean, we're so thrilled to have this record out and have it. It's not being put behind us in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we're still learning how to play these songs better live.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the studio that kind of construct the way that we arranged and constructed the songs, and then when we had Jack Atlantis mix it, he created some cool stuff, just editing, like moving stuff around or like copying stuff and adding it later, and like effects and stuff that we can now recreate as a live band, and relearning that stuff has just been really a joy. And then to be able to pull it off and perform live and have it sound very similar to the record, but it's raw, and it's us still playing natural natural music. It's cool, so it's nowhere in the least behind us. It's out in the world now, thankfully, and we have a ton more songs to give to the world. So we're ready to do that. And, working hard at it, and, working towards putting something out, hopefully by the beginning of next year. We'll see how it plays out.
That's so cool, because so many bands, when they record or whatever, they have so many tracks that they take and they record them while they're, in session, and then they disappear. They disappear forever, or, disappear for years until somebody finds them in the bottom of a trunk or something.
Yeah.
Well, we're not that prolific that we can just throw songs away.
You talk about a little bit about what the music scene is like in Albuquerque these days, because I know that you had a couple other bands on your album launch party. Like, what's the scene like down there?
Well, Albuquerque, for me, I grew up in Albuquerque. Sloan, I don't know. He's been there and away and back, and but I spent a lot of time actually doing pretty big projects in Albuquerque, and since I was in high school, literally 20 almost 30 years ago, literally. That's how old I am. That's how old we are, Sloan.
That's how old I am too. So, all right.
And yeah, Sloan just told me to hush. So button it up.
We can cut that right out.
Mum's the word. So, it's like growing up, the scene was pretty vibrant. Like when I was in high school, lots of bigger bands touring through town. I had so many great opportunities as like a teenager in a shitty rock band to like open up for some cool bands, right? And then to also see like some of my favorite bands still playing in such small venues. So there was always quite a scene in Albuquerque, like, indie rock bands coming through and playing to, 200-300 people, maybe, their next tour, a mid-level, like, 1,000 to 3,000 seat, theater, and then on to like bigger stages, right? And so that's been kind of happening in Albuquerque for a while. Great music scene, good support, and then Santa Fe is a different story, kind of more affluent. But in terms of like local music scene, what I've found is there's way more talent than there is support.
That's true. Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I think that's kind of the norm.
It's kind
nowadays.
of a struggle, man. It's
Yeah.
like it's hard to get people out. And to me, like the great music cities, what they have are great venues that really support artists, that cater to artists, that pay artists, and that really provide a great reason for you to come out. And so there was quite a void in Albuquerque for that. Now there's a place called Sister Bar or Sister. It's where we did our release show. Some of my besties own the place, and that's a place that actually now exists in Albuquerque where people know just to go there. They trust just to go there that they're going to see a great show. And it's a great environment, and they have great food, and they have amazing beverage program there, and the sound is great, and the stage is great, and they treat their the people that perform there well. So it's refreshing to have that.
That's great.
Yeah,
It's great that there's at least a place
Yeah.
for you guys to
I think
go.
even more importantly, it's a place that people are starting to recognize. It's like you said, they can just go there and know that they're going to hear good music. That's fantastic.
yeah. I mean, that's the recipe to become a legendary club.
Yep.
Is that how you feel, Sloan? Like,
Yeah. Also, and Launchpad too.
Yeah,
Joe
and-
Anderson and Launchpad.
well, that's always been
It's always been.
that's a long-standing place, but for me, I feel like it's ebbed and flowed. Like it depends on who's kind of running the show, really running the show, and like sometimes you can play there in this like literally like Albuquerque's legendary rock club, and you can play there to nobody, And like literally like big bands, like bigger bands that I love, I've gone to see there and no one's there. It's like, what the hell?
That's I know that's such a strange thing. Huh?
Yeah. But it's because, and from my perspective, that they really don't, they're not doing their best to cater to the artist and to the environment. They're just kind of, calling it in at this point,
Right.
and that's harsh, and I'm going on record saying that, but it's just truth.
So where have you guys been playing besides Sister Bar? Do you have any gigs lined up, or is that the plan to play live, to take your stuff out live?
Yeah, we've been playing at Moonlight Lounge, Launchpad. I think the future would be probably Sunshine Theater and the one here in Santa Fe.
Yeah, Meow Wolf
Meow
here
Wolf
in
is
Santa Fe.
a great place.
There's lots of places here in Santa Fe now. I now live in Santa Fe, which is weird for a Burqueño, someone from Albuquerque, to kind of trade and move up to Santa Fe. But it's where my business is, so it's more convenient for me to live up here. But it's like I grew up like thinking Santa Fe was just for the wealthy and the like was this fantasy land, and it's a tourist trap and a tourist town, And I'm finding now, being here for a couple of years, that it's not that at all. And there's really great support for live music here and the arts. And we haven't played up here yet, but we're really excited to start playing up here. We're going to do a release show up here, hopefully sometime in August. We're just trying to, plan how we're going to support regional tour support for the record. And
so if people listening to this want to find out where you're playing, how would they track you down? You have a website and social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, social media. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, and then our website is kind of, that to me would be the best place to look, and it's St. Petersburg abq.com. Yeah. And you know what? I should check all this stuff. I apologize for not
okay.
being prepared, because I'm like,
that doesn't exist. How we go there?
Like
This guy was
No,
bullshit.
we're never not prepared.
I'm mid-40s and I don't give a shit about social media. So
Social media.
I don't know what my problem is with this stuff. I have such an aversion to this.
How do I send a Twitter? I don't know.
I know.
No, it's called a tweet.
Tweet. It's called tweet.
Sorry.
I haven't done a single tweet at all. Not one, but that's okay though.
So back to web addresses, Facebook, Instagram, and all that. So officially, our website is stpetersburgabq.com.
Okay.
Our Instagram is it just went away, didn't it? St. Petersburg Music is the Instagram.
Okay.
Or as the cool kids say, IG. I'm learning. And the Facebook is St. Petersburg Band.
Okay.
So I guess to wrap this up, is there anybody you guys want to acknowledge? Well, while you've got some broadcast here going on, is there anybody you guys want to thank or acknowledge? Or
Oh, absolutely. Thanking Sloan for writing such beautiful songs. Songs that really inspired me to want to be a part of. That's having a partner in music, in art, and creating art. To be inspired by someone and to like fall in love with someone's creativity and thought process and beyond that. And he's just one of the sweetest, most sensitive, beautiful creatures.
Drunkest man you ever met, huh?
So, there's definitely a love affair there, for me. And Joe is just a rock, and, just everyone in the band is just so kind and solid. One key person we didn't bring up yet in our conversation is our new bassist, Harlan Brown Shackley. Or is it Shakely? Shakely or Damn it. We just call him Harlan. And he's
Harlem Nights, huh?
And he's a goddamn rock. And he's just, he just fit in perfectly when Ryan Martino had to move on and he had another project. So, beyond Sloan and Joe and Harlan, who make up St. Petersburg, it's, Ryan Martino for bringing us together and playing bass and working tirelessly on the record. And then Jack Atlantis, of course.
Also, Jack Atlantis.
Who mixed the record and also worked tirelessly, for like almost for free. It's like in the end.
Oh, wow.
We paid him like so long ago too, and
he was really happy with the project. He wanted to be part of it.
He just kept doing more and more and more, and didn't ask for anything, and like he just fell in love with it too, and it definitely came through in the mixing and the final production of the record, and it's like that's all you can ask for, like someone to. Everyone that works on this project or that has had their hand in the project, like, is in love with it and believes in it, and it feels right. It feels good. It's very touching. Hopefully, it carries on to the listener. I don't care. at this point. You know, I mean, I do and I don't. You know, I just have to let it go. You know, we have to let it go. It's out in the world now, and it's going to do whatever it does. And you know, hopefully, we are smart enough to and savvy enough to put it in the right places. You know.
Awesome.
Just out of curiosity, what songs did you guys like on the album? I mean, there's a lot of short songs, but there's a lot of epic songs too.
I loved all of them.
Oh, did you really? Oh man,
I loved them all. Yeah. I mean, I was listening to it on the way into work today, and it's been my go-to record to drive home from work to. Boy, that's horrible
That's
English,
cool, man.
but I've been listening to it constantly. And "Alive She Cried" is one of my favorite songs on the record.
Cool. "Alive She Cried"?
Just the build.
Yeah, a lot of people like that.
Is fantastic.
I think Cardinal Sun was my favorite out of all of them. They're all great, but I think that Cardinal Sun stood out to me. Just even on the first listen through, I was like, that song is fantastic.
Yeah, those are two songs that Julian plays steel pedal on that one.
No, "Alive She Cried" literally has made me, shed a tear listening to it.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking song. Oh my god.
Early on, and like even now, it's like sometimes I listen to that song and I'm like, wow, that's
It's a powerful song. Like it's really, really good.
thanks.
Alive she cried. 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 The missing of your lips, the meaning of
So listen, Sloan and Julian, thank you both so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for having us.
Thank you for being our first interview.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Like,
It's mine
really,
first,
thank you
too.
so much.
Actually,
And we
Yeah,
will,
And thank you for staying up so late, too.
right?
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's fun to do this. It was great to have a reason to hang out with Sloan late at night and have him up from Albuquerque. You know, we don't do it enough. We get together every Monday and rehearse, and like, you know, the week goes by and we don't really see each other, and you know, it's really nice to do this with Sloan and have him here, and you know, hanging out with him. It's a great reason. So thanks for getting us together to do this
Sure.
with you.
Again, we were so grateful, and really, we look forward to putting it together and promoting the hell out of the album.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much, guys.
thank you guys so much.
Julian here, Sloan.
Hello.
We're St. Petersburg, and you are now listening to Sweet San Verbena.
Rising up, setting blue.
So there it is. There is our first interview, our first live phone-in interview with St. Petersburg. Two of the members of St. Petersburg.
And that was Sweet San Verbana, the second song off Cardinal Sun. By all means, please take the opportunity to hunt them down on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and go to their website. Listen to their. We'll have a link to the record on our page, to the Spotify link for the record. But listen, tell your friends, promote them. They're a band that deserves to be heard, I believe.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
And we're going to play one more track for you as we sign off. The next song you'll hear is called Cardinal Sun, the title track off the record. And please enjoy, and we will see you next time on Audio Judo.
Some days are red, some days are black. In my many colored ways, in my many colored days, I seem to lack, hanging on a cloud upside down. This is where the sidewalk ends. This is where the sidewalk ends. Sidewalk ends. I go searching for you.